The flashing blue and red lights of the police car painted streaks across the rain-slicked streets of Las Vegas, a stark contrast to the neon glow that usually defined the night. Inside our family home, the silence was thick with despair. My parents stood with their heads bowed, tears silently tracing paths down their faces as the sheriff's deputy somberly explained the finality of it all. Our ranch, the legacy of 3 generations, was going to be auctioned off. The 2008 financial crisis had sunk its teeth deep into our livelihood, and the crushing weight of the mortgage had finally broken us. I can still vividly recall the damp, earthy smell of the rain mixing with the faint scent of hay clinging to my clothes, a poignant reminder of what we were losing. At 18, I felt an overwhelming sense of helplessness, as if the very ground beneath me had crumbled. Just as the weight of our loss threatened to suffocate me, my phone buzzed with a call. It was Sarah, my girlfriend at the time. Her voice, usually laced with a saccharine sweetness, was cold and sharp as shattered glass. "Your family is pathetic," she sneered, each word a deliberate blow. "A bunch of hick failures. You'll never be anything but a loser, a chicken farmer." I stood alone in the driveway, the harsh beam of a passing car momentarily illuminating the rain streaming down my face, mirroring the tears I refused to shed in front of her. Her callous words, meant to wound, landed with a strange sort of defiance within me. In that moment, amidst the wreckage of my former life, a stubborn seed of determination took root. I silently vowed to myself that one day I would prove her wrong, not out of spite, but out of a deep-seated need to reclaim my own sense of worth. The very label she used as an insult, chicken farmer, unknowingly became the unlikely catalyst for my future. We packed what little we could salvage and made the difficult move to the small, unassuming town of Red Rock, nestled far away from the glittering facade of Las Vegas. My great-uncle, a quiet, weathered man with the calloused hands of someone who had spent his life working the land, welcomed us into his modest farmhouse. His property was small, but it had a coop, and within it a small flock of chickens pecked contentedly. Sarah's words echoed in the quiet moments, a constant reminder of the sting of failure and the challenge that lay ahead. I remember the first egg I collected, still warm from the hen, and the gritty feel of the earth under my fingernails. My father, a man of few words but immense wisdom, began to patiently teach me the ways of the land and the animals, showing me that true resilience wasn't found in wealth or status, but in the simple act of creating something tangible with your own hands. It was during this time that I began to understand the true meaning of having roots, a connection to something real and enduring. Even without the bright lights and fleeting fortunes of Las Vegas, there was an unexpected richness in the quiet rhythm of this new life. The crisp morning air, the comforting aroma of brewing coffee, and the cheerful clucking of the hens slowly began to replace the soundtrack of my former existence, a stark and welcome contrast to the chaos we had left behind. Enjoying the story so far? Subscribe to the channel to make sure you don't miss the next chapter. The first few months in Red Rock were a blur of hard work and quiet desperation. My days began before dawn, a far cry from the late nights and carefree life I once knew in Las Vegas. I was a sponge, soaking up every piece of knowledge my great-uncle and father could offer. My great-uncle, with his leathery skin and sharp eyes, taught me the subtleties of land management, how to read the weather in the clouds, and how to tell a healthy hen from a sick one. He had a deep, almost spiritual connection to the land that I was slowly beginning to appreciate. My father, on the other hand, taught me about resilience, showing me through his actions that true strength isn't about not falling down, but about getting up every single time. He never once complained about our new circumstances, choosing instead to focus on the small joys, like the perfect golden yolk of an egg or the sight of a newborn chick taking its first wobbly steps. I started small, with just a few dozen hens, a mix of heritage breeds that my great-uncle swore produced the best eggs. There were days of struggle, of course. A raccoon raid wiped out a quarter of my flock one night, leaving me heartbroken and feeling like that loser Sarah had called me. I remember standing in the moonlight, surveying the carnage, and feeling a familiar despair creep back in. But my father, seeing my defeat, simply put a hand on my shoulder. "We bury them, son, and we build a stronger coop tomorrow," he said, his voice a steady anchor in the storm of my emotions. That night we worked together, reinforcing the coop with wire mesh and thicker planks of wood, the rhythmic hammering a defiant rhythm against the night. I learned that failure wasn't a verdict. It was simply a lesson in what to do better next time. My great-uncle, seeing my dedication, introduced me to the local farmers' market. The first day was terrifying. I stood behind a makeshift table piled high with cartons of eggs, feeling a deep sense of vulnerability. I worried people would see the poverty in my clothes, the lingering shame of our past. But as the day went on, I found myself talking not just about my eggs, but about the hens that laid them, about their names and personalities. I spoke about the rich, dark yolks and the fresh taste of pasture-raised eggs. People listened, and they bought. The small successes, the genuine smiles from customers, began to chip away at the bitterness I had held on to. The money wasn't much, but it was mine. It was earned. It was proof that I could create something of value, something real and tangible, from the ground up. Life in Red Rock settled into a rhythm defined by the seasons and the cycle of the sun. The relentless Arizona heat of the summer gave way to crisp, cool autumn mornings, a welcome change that brought with it a different kind of beauty. My egg business, which I'd named Red Rock Pastures, was slowly but surely growing. I expanded my flock, building a new, sturdier coop from scratch with my father's help. My days were a blur of feeding, cleaning, and caring for my hens, each one of them a character with their own quirks. There was Henrietta, the feisty matriarch, and Penelope, the timid one who always laid the most perfectly formed eggs. I'd talk to them, a habit I'd picked up from my great-uncle, and in their gentle clucking, I found a strange kind of comfort and companionship. The farmers' market became my sanctuary. It was where I connected with people, not just as a vendor, but as a member of a community. I met Sarah, a local artisan who made intricate, beautiful pottery. She was kind and had a warmth about her that felt genuine and effortless. We'd talk for hours between customers, sharing stories and laughs. She was the first person I had truly opened up to since leaving Las Vegas, the first person who saw me as more than just the guy who lost everything. Her belief in me, her genuine interest in my passion for my work, was a quiet kind of encouragement that felt more potent than any grand gesture. She made me realize that my new life wasn't a punishment for past failures, but a path I was choosing to walk, a path that was leading me to a deeper sense of purpose and happiness. One Saturday, a local restaurant owner approached my stall, intrigued by the vibrant yolks of my eggs. He was a chef from Phoenix, known for his commitment to using local high-quality ingredients. He sampled an egg, his face a study in concentration, and a slow smile spread across his face. "These are incredible," he said, his voice full of genuine appreciation. "The flavor, it's like sunshine." He placed a large order, a handshake deal that felt like the first real domino to fall in my favor. That moment was a watershed. It wasn't just about the money. It was about the validation, the feeling that my hard work was being recognized and valued. I went home that day, the sun setting in a blaze of orange and purple over the Red Rock Mountains, and for the first time since leaving Las Vegas, I felt a deep, profound sense of hope for the future. Over the next 2 years, Red Rock Pastures blossomed. The initial order from the chef in Phoenix was just the beginning. Word spread, and soon a few other high-end restaurants were buying my eggs. The small coop my great-uncle had was replaced by a series of larger, custom-built enclosures that I had designed myself. I even invested in a small used delivery truck, a beat-up old Ford that I affectionately named the Eggmobile. My life was a constant hustle, but it was a hustle I loved. I woke up with a purpose, a plan, and a growing sense of pride. My father, who had been my rock through it all, became my business partner, handling the deliveries and the bookkeeping. It felt good to be building something with him, to be turning our shared pain into something prosperous. We were a team again, not just a broken family. Sarah, the artisan, became a constant presence in my life. Our bond grew deeper, strengthened by shared dreams and mutual respect. She saw the passion in my work, the dedication that had replaced the anger and shame of my past. She even started helping me with the packaging, designing beautiful rustic cartons that made my eggs stand out at the farmer's market. Her artistic touch elevated everything. I remember a day when she was painting a logo on one of my delivery boxes, her brow furrowed in concentration, and I found myself just watching her, a quiet peace settling over me. The girl who had once called me a loser felt a million miles away, a distant memory eclipsed by the vibrant, supportive woman standing right in front of me. She saw the potential in me, the person I was becoming, and her belief was a powerful force that propelled me forward. My business was expanding, and so was my confidence. I was no longer defined by the loss of our ranch or the cruel words of a bitter ex. I was the person who built Red Rock Pastures from nothing. I learned that true success isn't about the size of your bank account, but about the richness of your life, the quality of your relationships, and the integrity of your work. That night, as I sat on the porch with my dad and Sarah, watching the stars come out, I felt a quiet satisfaction. We were a different kind of family now, not one defined by land or money, but by love, hard work, and shared dreams. The scars of the past were still there, but they were no longer gaping wounds. They were reminders of how far we had come. The plot is thickening. Don't miss the next chapter. Subscribe now and hit the bell for notifications. My life had found its rhythm, a comfortable and fulfilling one built on the bedrock of hard work and community. The business grew steadily, and I had even hired a couple of local high school kids to help with the daily chores. A surreal moment for me as I realized I was now providing jobs. The Eggmobile, our old truck, was a familiar sight on the roads, making deliveries to restaurants and grocery stores that were now carrying our brand. My relationship with Sarah blossomed into something deep and meaningful. She became my partner in every sense of the word. Her artistic vision and unwavering support, a vital part of both my business and my life. We were a team, a quiet force of two against the world. Then, one cold grey morning, a package arrived in the mail. It was a glossy food magazine, and on the cover was a feature on the burgeoning farm-to-table movement in the Southwest. The article highlighted the chef who was my first big customer, and a prominent picture showed him in his kitchen, holding a carton of my eggs. But the thing that made my heart stop was the small, barely noticeable tag at the bottom of the photo, a branded hashtag. I typed it into my phone, a sense of dread and curiosity warring within me. The hashtag led to a social media account, and there she was. Sarah. Not my Sarah, but the other one. My ex. My stomach clenched as I scrolled through her feed. Her life was a meticulously curated series of designer clothes, luxury vacations, and perfectly plated meals at exclusive restaurants. The juxtaposition of her life with my own humble existence was jarring. But then I saw it. A picture of her brunch, a stunning plate of perfectly poached eggs with avocado toast, and in the caption she had tagged a restaurant, one of my clients, and written, "Best breakfast in the city. Their eggs are to die for." My heart hammered in my chest. The very eggs she had once dismissed, the very life she had scorned, were now a part of her carefully constructed reality. The irony was so sharp it almost hurt. I couldn't shake the image of her post from my mind. The old anger and resentment, emotions I thought I had long since buried, bubbled to the surface. It wasn't about the eggs. It was about the hypocrisy. The girl who called me a chicken farmer loser was now unknowingly a customer, and a very public one at that. I showed the post to my dad, and he just shook his head, a wry smile on his face. "Well, I guess you proved her wrong, didn't you?" he said, his voice full of quiet pride. His words were a balm, but they didn't completely soothe the sting. It was a victory, but a hollow one. The vindication I thought I would feel wasn't a triumphant roar, but a quiet, confusing hum. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. Sarah, my Sarah, was working on a new design for my egg cartons, a more professional look to reflect the growth of the business. We were in the middle of a discussion about color palettes when I received a direct message on my business's social media account. I clicked it. My curiosity piqued. It was from a PR firm in Los Angeles. They had seen the article in the magazine and Sarah's tagged post, and were now interested in featuring Red Rock Pastures in a campaign for a national grocery chain. They loved the story, a family business rising from the ashes, a story of authenticity and grit. They wanted to turn my life into a brand, a narrative of triumph and resilience. I was stunned. The thing that had started as a small, desperate act of defiance was now becoming a national story. I read the email to my dad and Sarah, and their faces lit up. "This is it, son," my dad said, his eyes shining with emotion. "This is everything you've worked for." The weight of the moment was immense. I thought back to the rain-soaked Las Vegas street, the despair and the crushing words. The journey from there to here felt impossibly long, a testament to the fact that you can't always see the full picture when you're standing in the wreckage of your old life. I realized that my story wasn't just my own anymore. It was a story of hope, a story that could resonate with countless others. The PR firm's offer was real, and it was life-changing. We signed the contract, and the next few months were a whirlwind of interviews, photo shoots, and meetings. They were fascinated by the story of how Red Rock Pastures started, the raw, emotional truth of a family losing everything and building something new from the ground up. The campaign was built around me, the chicken farmer loser who found his purpose in the very thing he was once mocked for. It was a story of personal growth and redemption, of finding value in the simple things, and of the power of community. I was nervous, but my dad and Sarah were there every step of the way, their unwavering support giving me the strength to share my story with the world. The campaign launched with a series of short, documentary-style videos. The first one opened with a shot of the Las Vegas Strip, a stark, lonely image, and then cut to the dusty, sun-drenched landscape of Red Rock. My voice narrated the story of the ranch, the financial crisis, and the cruel words that had haunted me for so long. The video didn't shy away from the pain, it embraced it, presenting it as the fertile ground from which my success had grown. The response was immediate and overwhelming. My social media accounts exploded with messages of support from people all over the country, sharing their own stories of overcoming adversity. It was a humbling and powerful experience to see how my personal story resonated with so many people. The irony reached a new level when I found myself at a high-profile industry event in Los Angeles. I was doing an interview, talking about my brand when I saw her, my ex, Sarah. She was with a group of friends all dressed impeccably, a part of the world I had once aspired to. She looked older, her face a little harder, the youthful arrogance replaced by a brittle confidence. Our eyes met across the room, and for a fleeting moment, I saw a flicker of recognition, a flash of surprise, and maybe, just maybe, a hint of regret. The moment was gone as quickly as it came, and she turned away. But I stood there, no longer the broken boy from Las Vegas, but a man who had built his own success with his own hands, and in that moment I realized I was free. Free from her judgment, free from the past. Don't miss a single part of this journey. Hit subscribe and join our community. The encounter with my ex felt like meeting a ghost from my past, but it didn't hurt. It was a quiet sign of a battle won. I had a new sense of purpose and self-worth that wasn't dependent on her approval. The irony wasn't lost on me. The loser she mocked was now a brand ambassador on billboards. The campaign's success led to a national distribution deal, and Red Rock Pastures eggs were now in grocery stores across the country. I remained grounded, honoring the lessons from my past and the support of my dad and my partner Sarah. The final, unexpected twist came when I saw my ex's social media post. She had tagged my brand directly, praising my eggs as her new favorites. The girl who once scorned my dreams was now publicly supporting them. My ex's tagged post felt like the final chapter closing. I didn't respond, as the validation I once craved had been replaced by a quiet, self-assured sense of accomplishment. My true victory wasn't her public acknowledgement, but the fact that her words no longer held any power over me. My dad and Sarah saw the post too. My dad smiled with pride, and Sarah's belief in me, pure and uncomplicated by revenge, was the only validation I truly cared about. Her love was the real measure of my success. The story of Red Rock Pastures became a national symbol of hope, and in my speeches I always emphasized that true success is about finding purpose and the satisfaction of building something real with your own hands. The chicken farmer loser became a story of triumph, but the real victory was in the life and peace I had built. The years that followed were a testament to my new life. Red Rock Pastures thrived, and my partnership with Sarah grew. We bought land and built a home where my dad found peace watching the Arizona sunsets. My old life in Las Vegas faded into a distant memory, replaced by the quiet hum of the desert and the comfort of family. I never spoke to my ex again, her public support of my brand providing all the closure I needed. Her harsh words, meant to break me, had instead given me the motivation to find my true calling. My story isn't just about a business, it's about a boy who lost everything and found himself. It's about a family rebuilt and an incredible journey from a chicken farmer loser to a man who has everything he could ever want, all because he embraced the path he was told to despise.